Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a short trade here on crude oil, looking back down to the lows. We had an attempt to break up on this wedge, and that was pretty much quickly shut down by the sellers. They weren't really having a whole lot of that. So after that big shutdown that we saw from the sellers, knocking the buyers just completely out of the sky, we're looking for a little bit more follow through to the downside now. So my stop is going to go above the high. In terms of the target to the downside, I'm looking for a small measured move first, which is going to be coming in at 36.36. In terms of farther downside targets, if we are seeing the buyers get shut down here, we should see a fall back through the low of day. So that's going to be my final objective down to the bottom there. So we're going to go up to 36.28 just to make sure that we get filled on that move lower. And everything after that is just kind of a waiting game. We're just waiting to see the sellers take back over and ride this move down. Now, overall, crude oil, very, very range bound today. We're not really getting much movement outside of it, and all the movement that attempts to come outside of that gets picked right back up. And if they go a little bit too far, it'll get pulled right back down again. So right now we've gone a little bit too far. We're seeing some excess proof of the sellers wanting to come in. Now we're jumping into the downside. So entry short at 47, looking for a little bit further movement to the downside, but it might take the sellers a little bit of time to show up. I think everyone is pretty much on the same page here in that the selling pressure is very high at the moment. So this is more likely than not just buyers getting nervous trying to get what they can out of the move. So entry short 47. We're looking at the first objective to the downside here. It's going to be an 11 tick scalp to the downside. After that, we're looking back towards the low of day, and that's going to be a 20 tick scalp back to the downside as well. So we'll give it a little bit of time here, see if we can finish this move off on a very slow start to the morning. Seeing the sellers pushing into our first target, testing and filled. There we go. So that was that move that we're looking for. Now that is the first objective, and that was a pretty small scalp to start off with. But we're looking for a little bit further movement now through the low of day. That's going to be the primary objective here. And we do have our target a little bit higher up. Again, being that it's a range day, a lot of times when you're playing around at these levels, they'll come close and then miss, and then try again and then miss, right? So we don't want to be in that camp where we're looking for a target down here, they miss us, and now we're just stuck kind of holding a bad position that we don't really want anymore. So I'm looking to take my profit off at 36.28. Next up, we've got the first objective filled. Now we just need to see a little bit more follow through from the sellers, and we can definitely see right off the bat, they're already slapping it down as soon as we started this candle off. So the one issue, we do have a lot of support coming in here between 36, 34, and 33. It's a big cluster of support that's coming in, along with all of the prior swings that we had back here, right? We had a prior swing there, low of day prior swing, everything kind of stacking up in the same place. So the target that's down at 28, that may end up being an early entry depending on what happens here. If we see continued selling pressure, then we should be able to get our target filled, without much of a problem. But if we start seeing it really get stuck around this area, especially if it closed something like this, that might be a pretty big clue to get out slightly early. So we'll give it a little bit of time here, see what the sellers can muster up and finish off this move. And if they can, we're looking to take our target at 28. Sellers pushing down, and there we get the target filled. Beautiful. That's what we were really looking for. Now, again, if you didn't get filled, well, you got filled definitely on that one. I was going to say, if you didn't get filled, make sure to keep an eye on how this candle forms, because if it does end up closing relatively weakly, it might be a pretty big sign to get out of the move. But we got the targets filled all the way through, and it did tick through, so any other limit orders, if you didn't get filled to the tick, you definitely got your fill regardless. So 44 ticks to the downside, that's $440. Definitely not bad, especially considering how slow today has been on crude oil so far. Really hoping that as we get later in the day, we start seeing this price action pick up. But until then, we have to treat it like a range. Any break through the lows or highs right now is assumed to be a failure. You want to buy low and sell high. But that's going to do it for me. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.